I once had kind of this fascination with the super future city, and those kind of things. I was just watching a video on Naom, and there was somebody who it's like, who wants this? Who in the world would want Naom? Now, Naom, this is the Saudi Arabia city, the line, as the structure will be called, a giant, like something crazy, like skyscraper high, like 40 stories tall or something. But it's just one big line, like it's like with like a space in the center of it, like a giant hallway, and the walls are buildings. I don't, some of you know, I kind of have a fascination with things like the greenhouses of Western Europe and their efficiency. I have some fascination with vertical gardens, things like that kind of technology. The things that basically are these brilliant efficiencies that, without mostly people comparing ideas, we wouldn't have them. It's not really some gigantic mega leap in technology. It's that we finally were able to put enough ideas together, enough human experience together, come up with this, a good idea, set of good ideas. And so now that we are facing all these buildings and all this land in so many blue enclaves and assets, building assets that various levels of government have, that at some point they are probably going to have to sell off. Now, the interesting part is really with that side thought, we need to watch for how, almost keep a tally of who cleans up on selling government assets. Will it be more Democrats or more Republicans? Like who will sell and who will buy and who will take some of the skim and all that. That would be kind of interesting to see. But especially like some place like New York City, in the long run, the complexity of that city's infrastructure, the maintenance level that it requires is extremely high. And it's starting to come up, like it's starting to like become like a real issue for New York to try to maintain. And they're having more and more trouble maintaining their infrastructure. Yeah. And I don't want to make any prognostications about what might come of it, because I don't really know. I don't follow it close enough. But it's just becoming something that's very difficult for them to keep intact. One of the things that also is going to happen is the infrastructure, the BART system infrastructure of California. This is the whole thing with trains. The entire issue with trains, you can't move them. Once you have a train line, it's either there or you'd have to tear it up. Once you have a system like BART, you have to use it or tear it out of the ground. And these are huge constructions. This is one of the largest, engineering feats in California. And it took a generation to build it to the point that it's at now. So there's really this issue of that everybody pays into it. Like all local tax bases pay into BART, as long as BART goes to where they live. And I think you start paying as they're planning it to where you're going, to your city. Like if they're going to build it all, I think they built it eventually all the way to San Jose, right? Something crazy like that, or that was the plan, or something like that. And so this is going to require taxes this is done on, they're going to pay it off. Well, yeah, they were going to pay it off, San Francisco is also doing what it can to make sure Meta moves. They're fucking with Elon because that's this petty, short-sighted view of the effeminate mind, of the bad woman mind of liberals. So they're just fucking with him. People are getting robbed all over the place, but they're going to fuck with Elon Musk. That's who they're going to investigate. As everybody saw from the salty cracker thing, there was somebody who just some two kids apparently jacked a car, and they drive it, and it was a dead end street that becomes then stairs that go down, like that go downward to a lower street. And they drove it right off of those stairs, and amazingly did not die themselves or crush anybody with the car or destroy anything other than some trees. But not even, they just walked. They walked. They're not even going to try. There's I didn't see anything about the owner of the car. So at this stage, that's where that's at. So California is not going to be able to maintain a lot of that infrastructure. Oh, yeah. So to give you an idea of then the taxes that you have to maintain this tax base to pay off the infrastructure that you have, say for New York, a glorious story of New York this morning. So now we know where all the kids are. They're on the streets of New York prostituting themselves openly in the daylight. It now and people are running around with like the old school little pamphlets, of what you could get from like Las Vegas back in the day, or like the Tenderloin or something. I mean, like, this is bad, dude. Like, and New Yorkers are just like, I've never even seen this. Like, they know they've heard of this because this is like this thing that used to exist back before Giuliani and Pataki. But now, and that's the beauty of this. The more people try to resist, the more this will end up being double Pataki, ultra Giuliani in the response. And now, what was it? There's the El Salvadorian president who mega locks people up in mega jail. But then, what was it? There's another one now. I think it's the president of Honduras or Guatemala. They're like, we're opening an island prison. You fuck around in Guatemala, you're screwed. And this is the future. This is the future for absolutely certain. Mexico closed its island prison, so it already had one. Actually, in fact, Wrong to Strong does a story about being shipped to that island and living on it, if I remember correctly. It was pretty interesting, and it gives you an idea of what kind of goes horribly wrong with island prisons, and because there's all now. The one in Guatemala or Honduras, this is like 150 miles offshore. Like, this is out there. Like, you've got to really, really, really want to smuggle shit out there. But anyway, so as I was thinking about this mega city, I was like, the thing is though, we have a hard enough time really coming up with sustainable suburbs. I mean, like a suburb that when it snows too hard, you don't lose some of the properties, or like a levee or something, or like it doesn't like practically take out everything near the slough. It's like we still haven't, America still hasn't really even quite adapted to the conditions we live under in the contiguous 48 states. So there's this part of me that's like, the 15-minute city thing and solutions like Techno City and stuff, to me, that they're never going to pan out as much as simple. And then there's also the thing of the only reason why humans get together someplace is because really of something commercial in essence. There's a hub of humans for a reason, and it usually is convenience. It's a place that it's convenient for more people to meet there than not and exchange things. Because people want to think that there's nothing valid to market economics, we're going to keep trying to build Megatown and Ultra City. And because people don't deal with market economics in relationship to the idea of conserving the environment, where, well, you just don't know, things aren't as cheap as we think. We are subsidizing industries to make things cheap. If we didn't subsidize it, then you would see what the real cost is, and then people wouldn't buy things that are extremely finite and rare and will run out, because we'll see the cost of it because it's finite, rare, and it will run out. And because nobody believes in the market economic part of it, and that, well, you voted to subsidize it. You voted for people who are subsidizing things so that now you might purchase stuff until it ceases to exist because you're subsidizing it. You don't know it's rare. You're making its cost artificially lower than it should be because of its rareness, its rarity. I'm sorry. Every once in a while you'll see, like, I think your trunk's open, but then you realize something's sticking out of the trunk. What the fuck? What were these guys up to? They were doing something crazy. Oh, those are rope lights. I was like, you guys are not trying to climb down from your balcony like the frat brothers. Like, no, that's mountain climbing rope. They were trying to do something. Maybe they were trying to get weird. They were trying to rig up maybe the TV and lower it down outside of the house or something. That's wild. Wonder how well. Oh, young people and the crazy things they do. But yeah, it's mega cities are kind of a silly idea in my mind now. The older I get, the more I'm like, why would you have Gonker Town, like this humongous monstrosity, like the more like I saw things in Star Wars, and stuff, like, why would you have that? Like, really? Like, what would be the point of that? And then if you had such advanced technologies, like, why would you have this, or why would you have that? Like, there would be no reason for people to do that. Like, it's these artificial conceptual cities that exist sort of because, like, well, they just do. And I get that. Like, where, like, no, there's probably a reason why Jita 4.4 in EVE Online exists. I don't know why, but it probably does. Just like, if I'm correct, Dodixie is not the capital of Galente space. It just happens to be the trade hub. Or another would be for the Amar faction in EVE Online, that it's not that, or for the Amar faction, that one is, it's the capital, and it's the main, it's the actual royal seat. It's the royal seat of the royal family, and that's why they then have the great trade hub there, which, is artificial, and both natural and artificial, as a royal would do, as any good royal would do. So, which one of the things, okay, an EVE Online thing for the EVE dorks, I kind of wish the Amar families were a bit more, like, I wish there was more going on with the different Amar families. Like, that there was, I don't even know yet. It's just, I'm kind of hoping that EVE Online expands their missions. so that there's more of them, and they get weirder. You know, it'd be kind of cool if their missions got a little weirder. But anyway, and also there was a little more of the intrigue of that came through. But see, I was really thinking, I'm like, you see, like here's a large building in town. Let me try to get a good shot of it. Let's see if you could get a good shot of this. The Midtown. And it's just that there's this part of me that's like, I don't kind of dislike it. It's just that it's becoming too much. You're seeing buildings like this too much. That they're not really old-fashioned. They're not really like the best build. But it's also that kind of thing of, well, in like 40 years, taking a building like this down it's not as big of a problem. Whereas like there's buildings here in this city that they were built so sturdy that you can almost never tear them down. It would be quite an expense to tear them down. So to refurbish them has to be done every so often. And renovating them has to be done ever so often because they're so sturdy. Taking them down is so expensive. And so I get it. But there's just a part of it that it's like, that is sort of the look of a city, though. Buildings that are always there. Something that's always there. Like when we see ruins of ancient and great cities, it's, how do we think of Egyptians? We think of what was the buildings they left behind and the way and the style they looked. And Super Megacity, I mean, how permanent, like, are we is Neom going to be made of rock? Or is it just going to be steel and glass? Because steel and glass can be taken back apart. And I mean, rock can be taken apart. But, I think you all get what I mean, that, wouldn't it be nice to see something really wonderful made of stone again? Wouldn't it be nice to, like, be in an area where things are made of stone and there's hedge works to divide property lines? That the idea of like here's this is a great example. This is the good. This is how the Northwest does things correctly. Let's see for a moment if you yourself see what I'm trying to show you. Beautiful canopy of trees, cool shade. Right now, I mean, this is absolutely wonderful walking right here. This is the area done right. Like, look at the height of these. Look at the height of these things compared to the buildings around them. So also keeping the buildings cool as well. And then you can see even, say, on this building across the street, that it's even got some plant life planted along it so as to shade it from the sun. That, you see, those are the little touches. That's style. That's style. That's something I could credit Eugene for. See, somebody really knew their stuff. Whoever is helping that building, they know their stuff. Because here's another example. East-facing wall in the morning. Let me show you. So that's the east-facing wall. They made sure to put ivy on it so it'll keep the building cool. Yeah. Just some thoughts.